the password. And the password gets reset or removed or forgotten. And now you plug back the CMOS chip, close the CPU, screw the, using the screwdriver, screw the screws in, and then start the computer again. And this time, when you try to go to the BIOS, it will actually not ask you any password at all. As simple as that. So cracking the BIOS password is very old-fashioned. You don't need some high-tech software for it. You just need a screwdriver. However, imagine that the victim's computer is a laptop instead of a desktop. What do you do in such a scenario? If it's a laptop, then I don't really recommend unscrewing the screws and opening the body of the laptop up and looking for CMOS chips and all that. Instead, you can use a very interesting software called PC CMOS Cleaner. PC CMOS Cleaner. It is available as a free download from this website, which is pccmos.com, www.pccmos.com. And when you download this software, you can run it as a bootable CD or a pen drive from your computer, and restart the computer, boot from the CD or pen drive, and it will try to erase or crack the password of your BIOS and display it on the screen. And once you crack the BIOS password, restart the computer, remove the CD or pen drive, and you will be able to then access the BIOS. So that was the first type of password that you can crack, which is a BIOS password. The second type of password which I like to talk about today, that you can crack or criminals try to crack quite often, is file and document passwords. Most of us, we have confidential files on our computer. It could be a PDF file, a Word document, an Excel file, or sometimes even just a text file. And we have something very confidential stored on it. Now, if you don't put a password on it, it essentially means that anybody who manages to hack into your computer can actually open those files and access or view or misuse the confidential data that you have. So it's always a good idea to password protect your confidential files. Most software, most applications like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, WinZip, WinRAR, or even Adobe Acrobat, all of them allow you to put a password on your files so that nobody else can actually open the files or documents. So let's assume that you're a criminal and you've managed to hack into the victim's computer, and you have got your hands on some confidential files and documents. You really want to open them, but unfortunately there's a password on it. To give you an example, in India, whenever you file your income tax returns, the government sends you a confirmation, which is a document, essentially a PDF file that is password protected. Another example is that most banks in India, they send you a monthly statement of your account, again a PDF file or a Excel or Word file, which is password protected. The assumption in both these cases is that nobody can open the file because it is password protected. But reality is, cracking a file or document type password is extremely easy. I like to, at this point of time, share with all of you 4 or 5 different websites from where you can download password cracking tools that allow you to crack file and document type passwords. So let me actually one by one open all these different websites. You have lostpassword.com, nearsoft.net, elcomsoft.com, and lastbit.com. So the first website which I like to share with all of you is lostpassword.com. And this is what the website looks like. And if you look at the screen, it says that it can crack over 200 different document type passwords. 200 different document type passwords, including Windows, Word, Excel, QuickBooks, Access, Acrobat, and other 200 types of passwords. So basically on this website, there are various tools available that you can use or you can download and start using to crack pretty much any kind of password that you can think of. So lostpassword.com is fabulous. Yet another very interesting website which I like to actually share with all of you is this website known as nearsoft.net. Nearsoft.net. So on this website you have various password recovery tools. Everything from web browser password viewers, mail password, messenger password, SniffPass, which is the password sniffer that I had mentioned earlier today, and things like that. So Nearsoft has a bunch of different tools available that allow you to crack pretty much any kind of password that you can think of. Another very interesting website is actually a Russian website called elkomsoft.com. elkomsoft.com. Now this is what elkomsoft.com looks like. It's actually a professional company, a real company based out of Russia that allows you to crack a wide variety of different types of passwords. So if you click on this downloads button, you can actually reveal an entire list of different password cracking tools. So the first tool is Elkomsoft Phone Password Breaker. It allows you to gain access to password protected BlackBerry phones, iPhones, iPads and iPods. So imagine being able to use this software to steal data from somebody else's phone which has been backed up somewhere. The next software is Elkomsoft Wireless Security Auditor. If you want to crack the Wi-Fi password of your neighbor's WEP, WPA or WPA2 connection, then you can use this software. Later on in this course, we will be having a separate lecture dedicated to how to crack Wi-Fi passwords. So please wait till then, because Wi-Fi password cracking is a separate topic itself. So I have not included that in this password cracking lecture. We'll be discussing that separately at the end of the course, towards the end of the course. Then you have Forensic Disk Decryptor Password. So it allows you to crack the passwords of BitLocker, encrypted disk, PGP disk and even TrueCrypt disk. Then Elkomsoft also has an Office password recovery tool. So essentially any kind of Office application like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, all the passwords can be cracked using this particular software. Then you have Archive password recovery, that is, it will crack the passwords of zip files and RAR files. Then Advanced PDF password recovery tool is also available, which essentially allows you to crack the passwords of PDF files. Then you also have Internet Password Breaker, which allows you to crack, browser passwords. Then you have SQL passwords as well that you can crack. Intuit passwords as well, right next to it. And then Instant Messenger passwords just below it. And then even email account passwords, mailbox passwords of POP3 and IMAP accounts. And even Facebook password extractor. So if the victim's Facebook password has been cached in the browser, then you can actually steal it using this particular software. So Elkomsoft has bunch of different tools that you can use to crack a variety of different types of passwords. One last password cracking website is lastbit.com. So using this website, you can download tools that allow you to crack Microsoft Office passwords, WinZip passwords, Visual VBA passwords, SQL passwords, Windows passwords, AOL passwords, PDF, QuickBooks, Quattro Pro, Quicken passwords, WordPerfect passwords, Instant Messengers, and so on. So think of any kind of password that you want to crack. Lastbit.com is yet another website that allows you to crack pretty much anything. So coming back to the PowerPoint slides, we were discussing how to crack file and document type passwords, and I think by now all of you know that pretty much any kind of file or document type password can easily be cracked using these 4 simple websites which I've shared with all of you in this particular slide. A lot of these software are free. Some of them are paid. It purely depends on what kind of password you're trying to crack. Typically, when it comes to cracking file or document type passwords, it does not normally take more than 4 or 5 hours at most to crack any kind of file or document type password. The next type of password that you can crack are saved passwords in your browsers. How many of you, if you use browsers, which I'm sure all of you do, how many of you remember that whenever you log into any of your online accounts, your browser will ask you whether you wish to save or remember the password or not? How many of you choose to save the passwords? After the next demonstration, you'll never want to do that again. So imagine that you're my friend and I want to steal your password. What do? I will come to your house and I'll try to convince you to play some games on your computer. So I'll make a plan of computer gaming at your house. And while you're playing games, the moment you leave the room for a few minutes, I'll open up your browser. And for today's demonstration, I'm going to open up Mozilla Firefox browser. Mozilla Firefox browser. So let's wait for that browser to open up. So if all of you look at the screen, the Mozilla Firefox browser has now opened. So the moment you leave the room, I'll open up your Mozilla Firefox browser and I will click on Settings. The Settings button is usually at the bottom or on the right top corner of your screen. And as soon as I click on Settings, there are various tabs or various options available. So I'm going to select the Security option. My browser is not responding, so just wait for a minute. Okay, there you go. So I click on Security, and then there's a button which says Saved Passwords. I click on that button, and all the websites and the respective usernames and the passwords that I've saved on this particular browser have been displayed. So if you notice, the websites and usernames are getting displayed, but the passwords are actually not getting displayed. So that means there is very good security in this browser. Actually, in reality, there is a simple button at the bottom which says Show Passwords. So I click on that button. Even then, if you notice, the passwords are not going to get displayed. Now the browser is asking me, are you sure that you wish to show the passwords? Of course, the criminal is going to click on yes, and within a few seconds, if all of you look at the screens, the actual passwords are going to get displayed. So the password of the first website is Snoop, and the password of the second website is Ankit12345T@. These are obviously not my real passwords, but all of you get the whole idea. Never ever save your passwords in your browser again. Because you would imagine that your browser is doing a better job of securely storing your passwords, but in reality, as you can clearly see, there is no security whatsoever. Now, some of you in the audience might be thinking that, oh, I already knew about this, I'm really smart, and I've enabled something known as a master password. So in Mozilla Firefox, there is something known as a master password that you can enable, where you choose a master password, and whenever you want to view the saved passwords, you will be asked to enter the master password. So your master password is a password to all your other passwords. So if you have enabled that option, it's great, because then, without knowing your master password, I will not be able to access your saved passwords. So it's great if you're doing it. However, there is a slight problem. And the problem is, there's actually a software called FireMaster. FireMaster. FireMaster is the Firefox Master Password Recovery Tool. So I'm going to click on this link, and within a few seconds, if you notice, FireMaster, the Firefox Master Password Recovery Tool, is available on this website, using which once I download this software to my computer, I can use that to crack the Mozilla Firefox master password as well. So the moral of the story here is, even if there is an option to enable a master password, please do not use it, because it's really no security at all. You should in reality not be storing any of your passwords in any of your browsers at all. Now that was the Mozilla Firefox browser. Let's actually see how good or bad Google Chrome is in terms of securely storing your saved passwords. Now in Google Chrome, the saved passwords are available in the advanced settings of your browser. So I click on this settings button, then click on settings again. And then I scroll down. Click on advanced settings. And I look for this offer to save your web passwords option. Next to that, there is a link which says manage passwords. So I'm going to click on that link. So if you notice, all my saved passwords are available here. The website addresses, the usernames are already visible, but the passwords are not visible. And if I want to see the passwords, I can click on the password button, and then there is a button that shows up which says show password, or just show. Now if I click on show, let's see what happens. As soon as I click on show, if you notice, there's a prompt that has shown up on the screen, and it says Google Chrome is trying to show passwords. Type your Windows password to allow this. So Google Chrome actually has a very good security feature, wherein unless you enter the Windows login password again, you will not be allowed to view the saved passwords. So a criminal who's trying to find out my saved passwords will not be able to view them unless and until he enters my Windows login password in this particular prompt. So the browser security really varies from version to version and manufacturer to manufacturer. So be very careful in terms of which browser you're using and whether you're saving your passwords or not. I would actually recommend that you do not save any of your passwords, even if you are using the Google Chrome browser, because you never know. You can't really trust it, right? It's always a better idea to remember your passwords as opposed to saving them somewhere. Now talking about saving your password somewhere, the next slide which I like to share with all of you, there's a URL or website address mentioned here. It's neatsoft.net/articles/saved_password_location.html. This actually a website where there's an entire list of password locations where passwords are saved by various applications. So it's actually just very interesting to go through it, just to get an idea of what different applications are doing to save their passwords and where they are saving them. So everything from Windows network passwords to dial-up VPN passwords, Internet Explorer various versions passwords, Firefox, Google Chrome web browser, Outlook, Windows Mail, Google Talk, Google Desktop, MSN Messenger, and so on. So basically any kind of application that you have on your computer, if there is an option to save your password, that application has to save that password somewhere on your computer, be it in the Windows registry or in some system file. So on this particular page, you can get an entire list of various locations where passwords are likely to be saved or passwords are generally saved by various applications or tools or software. The next type of password that you can crack are instant messenger chatting software passwords. And for that, there's a very interesting software called MessenPass or Messenger Pass, which is available as a free download from nearsoft.net. Or you can go to elcomsoft.com, the Russian website that I've shown you earlier, and download a software called Advanced IAM Password Recovery. Next is one of my favorite password cracking tools available. It's called the Google Password Decryptor. It is available as a free download from securityexplorer.com. What this particular tool does is very simple. Most of us use Google Talk or Google Hangout, and it's basically an application on our computer. And Google Talk or Google Hangout has an option to save the password or remember me or log in automatically. So if you have enabled that option, your Google password or your Gmail password, which is essentially the same password, is saved somewhere on your computer, which is normally a Windows registry. So this software, if you run it on the victim's computer, so imagine if you want to find out your friend's Gmail password, you need to run the software on your friend's computer. And as soon as you run it, literally in a second or maybe a few seconds, this software, Google Password Decryptor, will decode the saved password of your friend's Google or Gmail account from your friend's Windows registry. As simple as that. You just need to run it, wait for a few seconds, and it will do the rest. And if you look at this screenshot, I've actually morphed out my password because when I ran this on my computer, it was able to successfully find out my password and decode it. So I've morphed it out because I obviously didn't want any of you to see what my password is. But it really works. The same company, the same website, securityexplorer.com, has actually created another password cracking software called iTunes Password Decryptor. So if you want to find out somebody else's Apple iTunes password, you got to run this software on their computer. And even Apple iTunes has an option of remember password or log me in automatically, and they save the password somewhere locally on your system. So if you run this software, it basically decodes the saved password from your system itself. And since it's just decoding the saved password from your system itself, it actually does not take a very long time to decode the password for you. Similarly, I'm sure that many of you use Skype, and if you want to find somebody else's Skype password, then you need to go to lastbit.com, and from there you can download the software called Skype Password Cracker that allows you to crack somebody else's Skype password. Now, finding out somebody else's Skype password can be actually very useful because once you know their password, you can pretend to be them and you can make phone calls using their Skype credit, using their Skype credit card information. I'm going to skip Wi-Fi passwords for the time being because I'm going to discuss them in detail in a separate lecture because it's a very long topic and very technical topic which deserves its own different separate lecture. So let's quickly move on to another demonstration of password cracking. See, a lot of times in your browser you may have noticed that when you open a particular web page, the username and password is automatically filled in. So you can see the username, but the password, you can't see the password, but instead you have some asterisks or some stars displayed, just like in this screenshot. So the next demonstration is how do you convert these stars or asterisks into the actual password. So for this demonstration, I'm going to open up Mozilla Firefox and let me go to, say, facebook.com. This is the login screen. I type my username. Then I'm going to type my password. What should my